This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Hi there, and welcome to the Science of Magic, a program combining the science and magic of today's leading topics to co-create new solutions and promote evolutionary thinking. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour, we'll be exploring quantum healing. Dowsing, divination, and energy healing are ancient shamanic skills practiced by every indigenous culture for over 50,000 years. Shaman use various tools, including drums, rattles, and shields, built through the use of sacred geometry, herbs, and crystals. Some Lakota shaman utilize inipi lodges built in alignment with earth and stellar energy and using the four elements, water, air, earth, and fire, to purify and heal. Shaman heals illness of body, emotion, mind, and soul by rebalancing the frequency of the client at the energetic level. Through accessing and channeling frequencies now recognized as coming from the quantum level, they're able to correct imbalance causing illness on all four levels. In short, shamanism is an organized set of rituals designed to focus the practitioner's ability to manage matter at the quantum mechanical level of life. Today, many energy healers use dowsing and tools employing not only sacred geometry and crystalline energy, but electronics and radionics to focus quantum level energy. How do the more modern approaches compare with that of the ancient form of shamanism? What are the scientific principles behind energy healing? Does it really work? With us this hour to explore this somewhat controversial topic is quantum energy practitioner Chris Caylor. Chris specializes in finding troubled areas in the body and the stressors within the area by using pendulum and chart method of dowsing. After the problem area and stressors have been located, the frequencies of the stressors can be neutralized with the use of crystalline metaphysical tools and radionics. With this protocol, Chris believes it's possible for pains and ailments to be alleviated within a short period of time. He employs radionics healing with metaphysical tools, quantum touch, muscle testing or applied kinesiology, foot bath detox, and live blood analysis in his practice. His website, chriskeeler.net. Chris, thanks for joining us on the Science of Magic.
Hi, Gwilda. Thanks for having me on.
I understand you worked for 30 years in printing and newspaper industry. How'd you get from there to here in energy healing?
That is a story in itself. The short story is that when I was in printing, my first wife became very, very ill with an illness called scleroderma, which unfortunately took her life after about 6 years battling with it. And at that time, I looked at my financial portfolio and said, I'm going to take a little break from this rat race of printing. It's a very volatile industry in itself with lots of different types of solvents and paper dust that you work with that can really affect your health. So I took a break. 47, I found myself with nothing to do. So the old saying goes, one door closes, another door opens. I met somebody who does this type of work and just really resonated highly with it and kind of felt within my heart that this is something I need to do. And I just kept on going with it and met more people in this type of work and developed my own system of doing it. And here I am today with a full practice, treating people all over the world with it.
That's amazing. What training do you have in energy healing field?
Take quantum touch course just so I can understand what energy is, how it feels, how it moves within the body. Generally, the training I have is directly with my soul, my heart, myself, and my pendulum, which is connected directly with source, so I get a lot of energy differences from that. I also work very highly with my toolmaker. Self is a very high energetic person, doing a lot of grid work for the planet, clearing energies and that type of thing.
Well, we'll have to get in. We're about to have to take a break here. We'll get into what those tools are and how they work. I find it really, really fascinating. So, Chris and I will return shortly, so don't go away. You're listening to the Science of Magic. Our current episodes are aired daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is quantum energy practitioner Chris Caylor. His website, chriscaylor.net. Chris, we were talking about tools, and I'll bet you don't mean wrenches and screwdrivers.
In this type of work, we use tools that are called sacred geometry, such as pyramids. All the different shapes that we know about is a form of geometry, and the geometry itself, like the sphere, the cube, all contain a specific type of frequency within it, a specific type of consciousness, let's say.
Yeah, you know, like I mentioned in the beginning, the Lakota use, I'm a drum builder in the Lakota style, and the drum itself is built under principles of sacred geometry, and interestingly enough, it's the exact same principles that's used in the Inipi or sweat lodge when they string together the willows, creating the structure. Do these relate?
The geometry itself has a fine-tuning, so one type of geometry can be used for a specific type of clearing, let's say, as compared to another one to do, let's say, a different type of clearing. One geometry might work better with the chakras, another geometry might work better with the aura, another geometry may work better with the physical body.
And also, is there a difference? Because it seems to be there's two major things you're doing when you're trying to reestablish balance and health. And one is either taking something apart that doesn't belong, and the other is putting something together that's needed. Is there particular shapes and things that you can use for that?
Yes, there is. One of the tools that I use very often, it's called a neutralization ring, and this is all ancient Sanjanivi Sanskrit design. It's a ring with point inside the ring, and when you stand over this ring, it'll actually start to draw negative energy that you've accumulated on a daily basis from your aura and your chakra system and help to clear the way for us to read your body a little better and help to move away any kind of bad vibrations that are kind of hanging around. That is specific for removing negative energy. And then when we use certain types of pyramids, I use one called a Vesica Pisces. I also use one called a zero-point generator, or a chestahedron, if you will, to add energy, to change energy within your body.
So these things are channeling energy in one form or another. Now, when you're removing something, there's two different ways you can do it. One is by sending out the equal but opposite wavelength that cancels it out. And two is by sending out something that's close but not quite on. So like more homeopathic, sending out a similar tone, and the harmonics cancel each other out. Which does it use?
Well, I use neither. What I use is the power of intent, which is I intend for this energy to leave the body. So what I've done is I've created my own system of doing this, and I've made it very simple because I do have students who are taking it. I have 45 different students all over the world taking my course. And what I've done is if I find a stressor, all I do is say the word, that I say the stressor, and then I say the word false after it. And by saying the word false, that frequency doesn't exist anymore.
Right, but then the very act of using your intent and using the word, the power of the word, it has a mechanical effect at the quantum level. What is that?
Well, it's just a cancellation of the frequency, just like using the anti-frequency or the antimatter of the frequency will cancel each other out.
Equal but opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any medical training, Chris?
I basically have zero official medical training. Just like anybody else, I have experience with people in my life who have needed attention and have really kind of come to realize that by caring for somebody, showing them love, a high vibrational way to help somebody get through any kind of health issue. And that's what we use today, is we're using love frequencies to help vibrate out hate frequencies within a person's body. So I did come to that conclusion very early in life that people need medical help, but they also need love.
Boy, love is the great transmuter, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah. Do you interface with more traditional practitioners in your practice, like when you find someone does need the medical system?
If there's something that's somewhat maybe beyond my knowledge, I will certainly make that suggestion that they look down other avenues, because, of course, you don't want to restrict a person to just one way of healing. There's many, many different ways of healing. And I have lots of other practitioner friends who do different types of modalities. And, of course, the medical system is a valid system. We do need the medical system. So, of course, as a professional, you need to be a professional person and use suggestions and help people down the road.
So I understand you're working on the energy frequency aspect to illness, which is basically the spiritual level or the quantum level. Is that accurate?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. You indicate there are root problems that cause health issues. Would you please explain that?
When I address somebody with a health issue, they're going to come to me and say that they have migraine headaches or they have a heart disease or some kind of illness within their body. And there's always going to be many different factors involved. There's never just one factor involved. So first of all, we need to go after all of the negative energy components. And that could be anything from some type of ill intent from somebody, because we are manifestors. As human beings, we can manifest things or send a manifestation. So curses, spells, different types of negative thought intent can be involved that need to be disconnected. And then also we can go into the higher dimensions, lower dimensions, and see where the problem lies there. So lots of clearing of different negative energies are involved. And then we can get into the physical, which could be a parasite, buildup of a heavy metal, something of that nature.
But then you neutralize that through the use of energy medicine versus medical treatment.
Correct. Yeah, we don't use any pills or any potions here. It's just all intent and sacred geometry.
You say you use dowsing to locate the causal issue. Would you mind explaining for us what exactly is dowsing?
There's different types of dowsing, okay? A lot of people will do something called muscle testing, where they'll hold, let's say, a bottle of herbs or a supplement to their chest, to their heart, and their body will fall forward if it wants it, it'll fall backward if it doesn't want it. So that is a form of dowsing. A lot of people will use dowsing rods to see if there's any geopathic stresses within the ground, find any streams of water or water veins that could cause geopathic stress. What I use is a pendulum, which works basically as an extension of my higher self, which is connected to source. And through that mechanism, pendulum will swing over the chart system that I've made out. It'll show me where I need to work, as what part of the body, and then it'll tell me what the stressor is, and so on. The dowsing is an extension of your higher self. A lot of people are psychic. They will just get a thought in their head as to what to do, or they might even hear the word. It could be clairaudient, clairvoyant, and different gifts everybody has. But my modality is the pendulum. It works extremely well for me, and we're very close friends.
You know, when I teach pendulum work as well, and one of the first things that I have to get people over is they say, but you're moving it. Well, yeah, my body's moving it, but it's bypassing my mind. So it's like a direct tap into the intuition, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I participated in some pretty interesting formal scientific studies with a medical doctor that he used to use dowsing in his practice. And we found that I could consistently change the results of his testing on me at will. So how does that, that effect that I could have at will, does that invalidate the pendulum testing?
It certainly can. And when I first started doing this work, I also found the same thing. It's like I can influence the pendulum on where to go. I can think of a word on that page and it would go to that word. But what I've learned is that bypassing certain aspects of yourself, if you bypass the subconscious and your consciousness and go straight to the higher self, let's say, you can begin to bypass all that influence. And what I find now is that I can, as hard as I want to, I can think about that word on that page, and the pendulum will go to the right word. It'll bypass any kind of influence. So it can be done if you know the right sequence to set up your dowsing mechanism through your body. It is very easily alleviated.
So, but I think it's an important point to watch out for when you first start dowsing is that you may be affecting your own results.
Well, and that's it. And with my students, the biggest thing that comes up is this the right answer? So there's a lot of doubt involved. Am I influencing it? Am I not? And what I always tell people is just go with it. Do a clearing. If you get a result from that clearing, then you know you're on the right track. Working with this, almost the worst thing that can happen is nothing. So if you get the right answer, it's the right answer. If it's not the right answer, keep on going. The more you do it, the more in tune you're going to become with your pendulum and your higher self, and things are going to start meshing and working together at a higher level.
A pendulum works on a binary system, so we're dealing with yes and no answers. Isn't there a certain way you have to ask your questions to work within that format?
What I always say is the question is more important than the answer. Ask the right question, get the right answer. So within the system that I've developed, I have a possibility of 26 different questions to ask. So when I start working with somebody, the first thing I will ask is, what is the right question to ask for this person's health problem? The question could vary from where is the lowest level of vitality, where is the most resistance, where is the most congestion, and so on. So different questions could validate different answers.
Yeah, it's amazing how important the question is. And value judgments don't work real well with a pendulum either, do they?
It can, depending on how you use it. It's a very fine-tuned system. If you ask the wrong thing at the wrong time, you're going to get an answer that doesn't make any sense. So everything in its right area. I even have a chart that tells me what to do next. Go to which type of charts. Ask what type of question. Ask my letter chart, whatever. I mean, there's a right time for everything. So what we do is a very fine-tuned, systematic way of making sure that we're on the right track with the person.
Nice. Do you keep a record then of the results that you get? Do you keep a chart for a person so you can see where you're moving?
I used to, but what I found is that it takes a lot of time away from the session. So basically, we just do a series of clearings throughout the session, and then if we do another session, we're just starting from the beginning anyway. So the past records don't have a lot of validity. Sometimes, it is nice to look back and say, oh, yeah, we did this before. Why are we doing that again? But for what I'm doing right now, the more clearings I can get for the person within that allotted time, which is about 50 minutes, the better for them.
So am I to understand that you're kind of onion ringing through it through use of the pendulum rather than your mind?
That's exactly it. And I do use that analogy quite often, is peeling the onion, going through all the layers, because ultimately everything that's going on in our lives, whether it's something to do with your health, something to do with your emotions, something to do with your day-to-day life, is all an onion. And you have to peel away all those layers that are hiding the root core of the problem.
Exactly. Well, we're going to have to take a little break here. Chris and I will return to our discussion on the other side of this break, so don't you go away. We're coming to you through the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com. Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is energy healer Chris Caylor. His website, chriscaylor.net. Chris, I understand you use intuitive skills in your practice. How long did it take you before you could really start trusting what you were getting was accurate?
I'm going to say basically it is ongoing, but the first 5 or 6 years were the toughest. And again, that was where all the doubt was coming into play. And what I've come to realize is how you can remove that doubt, and ultimately the outside influences. Now, there are spiritual beings all around us at all the time, and some of these things like to play jokes on you and like to get into your pendulum and actually start to make those changes and give you some wrong answers or misleading answers. As I started working with it, realizing that all this existed, I did discover ways on how to be sovereign with my pendulum. That it's only my thoughts coming in, it's only source's thoughts coming in, and that intuition really started to clear up itself and become its own.
I found this interesting phenomenon when I'm working with some people, particularly people that have been very damaged in their lifetime. They have some of their energy running amok, in other words, outside of their conscious control, that will sabotage a session because on some level they believe if they get well, it's going to be to their detriment. Have you experienced that? And if so, what do you do about it?
Yes, that certainly has come up. And ultimately, by doing the deep clearings, getting deep into the whole consciousness of who and what we are, into the energy matrix, the energy grid, everything that connects us with quantum point energy, clearing out all those areas makes the whole body a lot cleaner, clearer, and easier to read.
What intuitive training have you had?
Intuitive training is just life, just knowing that there is intuition coming in and that we can work with it. The realization is the training that I have, and just working with it on a day-to-day basis, that's where it all comes from.
Do you don't use a formal method then of focusing your intention like shamanism, say, for instance?
Not so much. I've never really studied shamanism or any other kind of modality. I have studied quantum touch, but what I just trust and rely on is the day-to-day information that comes in through my higher self and pendulum, and it sends me in the right direction. And ultimately, we know that things are working because of the results that we get. And probably 90% of my clients see results almost during the session and days after. So we know that what I'm doing, don't touch it. If it ain't broken, leave it alone.
So proof is in the pudding.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you find some intuitive information can be allegorical?
It certainly can. You have to learn to discern what is right and what is wrong. There are times when I need to re-ask the question a different way and to skirt around the issue a certain way to get the proper answer.
Yeah, triangulation, asking 3 different ways, and You might get the answer. Yeah.
I've got actually 5 or 6 different ways to ask the question, so I've got many different ways to discern.
So it sounds like you kind of approach this, again, from a mathematical standpoint.
You could say there is a lot of math involved. Sacred geometry in itself is math. There is an algorithm that can be created through the whole process.
Would you speak to that a little bit more? What's an algorithm?
Well, the algorithm is a combination of different, let's say, when you're working with computers, an algorithm is something that'll calculate specific answer as to the information that is coming in. And that's what basically what we're doing is taking different types of information and then coming up with the proper encoding, let's say, to address the problem and use that information to move that energy out.
Back to the binary system, huh?
Yes.
You also use crystalline energy tools. What are they and how do they work?
Crystalline Energy Tools is the company that I work with. The fellow's name is Wayne Gatos. He's in Alberta, Canada, and he builds these tools and sells them all over the world. And I am a distributor in Canada for him. This is the name brand of the tool. All the sacred geometry, the pyramids, the onks, the Gs, the beamers, all these different tools that he makes are all part of the crystalline family.
Now, I've seen some of those tools that have literally have crystals in them. And what are they made out of? Are they copper?
The tools I use are copper. Copper is one of the best components for transmission of energy. Gold is very much used, so that the tools are made of copper, then 24-karat gold plated, and they're also plated with platinum. So these are all very high vibrational metals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great conductors.
Yes.
So how do they neutralize things like viruses and parasites?
It's all through the intent. So the system is what's causing the illness. The pendulum says it's a virus within the person's heart. Take the tool, hold it up to the heart, say heart, virus, false, and then that frequency doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, sounds pretty simple.
The tool basically works as an amplifier, a receiver, and a transmitter of quantum energy.
Okay. And what kind of quantum energy? What is it? A mechanical wave? Is it an electromagnetic wave? Is it a scalar wave? What are you working with there?
Gamma waves are present, which is knowledge from the universe. Anytime there's a big gamma wave that comes in from a planetary system, that can bring in knowledge. It does work within a scalar component. There's electromagnetic. Depending on the problem, you can fine-tune the tools with your intuition as to how you want to work. So if it is electromagnetic problem, you're going to work in the electromagnetic field within the person. If it's a scalar problem, you can work within the scalar field within the person.
Very nice. What are radionics?
Radionics, that is a type of energy that works with frequency. Now, there's many different types of radionic devices. This could be a 3-hour conversation, but we'll keep it as short as we can. A lot of people recognize radionics as a computer-driven type of modality with something called the SKIO or the Indigo, where somebody hooks himself up to a computer. The computer will go through certain types of clearings and checking frequencies of things. The radionics that I use, it's a more raw form of radionics where it uses little bottles of water programmed with the frequencies of different things. So water holds a frequency very, very well. So by taking the certain vials and putting them in the machine at certain times, one after another, and then pressing a button, it'll neutralize that frequency out of the primary frequency, which is your body, your energy bodies. It works by adding frequencies, taking away, and vibrates out that certain frequency. As you said before, you take one frequency, add that frequency next to it, and they will cancel each other out.
So does the water hold the frequencies kind of like an antidote? So the water's already holding the frequency and you use it from there? Or are you programming the water?
These bottles of water are programmed, and you can program water with your mind, with your intent. But we use the machine with it has a computer interface that adds the vibrational value.
So is this kind of like homeopathics as well? Do you make tinctures as well?
We can make tinctures. Now, one thing, I've got into the tools more so now than I used to use the radionics. And what I like to use the radionics for is I will take a silicone wristband with a hologram within that wristband. A lot of people have seen the balance bands, claim to have high negative ions with them. And I take these wristbands and I charge them with my radionic device with certain frequencies so people can wear that wristband and it will work like a homeopath effect.
So in other words, you're able to work on them when they're not in your presence by programming into the wristband what they need for maintenance?
Correct. And the most successful ones I have a wristband that people like to use for sleep. If you wear this wristband an hour before you go to bed, it'll put frequencies in your body to increase melatonin, to take away anxiety, different things like that. I have one that I use that works very well to help balance female hormones. So when that time of the month is coming around, you wear that wristband a week before and any kind of PMS symptoms will be alleviated. It'll certainly take the edge off. My wife loves these.
I was going to say,
amazing.
That sounds pretty self-serving there, Guy. Here,
Well,
honey, wear this wristband.
you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, too fun. So also, instead of just using the radionics, can't you use your intention and will to program the water and or the wristband?
Yes, you can. What I like to use the radionics for is I can take 50 wristbands, put them in the device, and charge them all at once, and it really takes a lot of the pressure off of me. It works part and parcel. It's basically programmed with my intuition and amplified through the whole device, and it really solidifies the frequency in there very nicely.
So you program the radionic device with your intention, and then it programs en masse.
Correct.
I like that. Energy efficient.
It certainly is.
Well, I hesitate to get into this next subject because we're just about to run out of time in this segment. But let's start with, what is a spiritual attachment?
When you and I pass away, what's left over is the soul, the spirit, and all of the energetic components within it. Now, if that spirit does not, let's say, go into the light or cross over, that spirit can wander around in purgatory looking for something to do. Let's say that spirit liked to smoke when it was alive, when it was incarnate. That spirit will seek out somebody who smokes and enter into their body so they can experience the satisfaction of smoking, which creates a negative vibration in your body and so on. So there can be negative spirit attachments, positive ones, or not so positive ones, but not so negative. So basically, the attachment will cause problems within your body.
We've got about 1 minute left here, but I find that there's attachment with organ transplant. Have you experienced that?
I've experienced everything, yes, indeed. Now, if that spirit still carries the frequency of the health problem they had that caused them to pass away, you could start to pick up on that frequency, and your body will harmonize with it, and you could develop that same problem.
Yeah, and I've had clients that came to me because they had a heart valve transplant and have been in trauma ever since, and come to find out the heart valve was carrying the trauma of the violent death that the donor suffered.
That's correct, yes, indeed.
So it can be an emotional attachment as well.
Everything is frequency, everything is vibration. That vibration does not go away until you neutralize it. So yes, it can be passed from person to person to person.
So have you used the neutralization procedure with transplant patients?
I have, and I've gotten fantastic success. Again, when it's just energy can be created or neutralized, and as long as you know what that energy is...
We're going to have to pick up on the other side of this break. Chris and I will be back shortly, so don't leave us now. This is The Science of Magic, your resource to altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric working to create common ground for the betterment of our world. thescienceofmagic.net.
Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Again, our guest this hour is quantum energy practitioner Chris Caylor. His website, chriscaylor.net. Chris, we were talking about organ transplant and how you can actually neutralize the damaging effects that came with the donor.
When there's organ transplant involved, this is something that's foreign to your body, so your immune system might be involved. So there's things we can do to harmonize your body with that part, and again, move out any kind of negative energies within it, the illness that was in it, etc. So if you do receive an organ transplant, even a blood transfusion for that matter, there are certain things that can accompany in it that need to be taken care of.
Yes, shamanically, I work with this a lot, and we use the metaphor of pulling out the other person's soul and putting in the soul of the recipient. But that's just a metaphor for the intent at the quantum level, isn't it?
As humans, I like to use the word monkey brain. We need to find a way to describe this so that we can be okay with it. We can understand what's happening. So whatever works, works.
Yeah, there's whole rituals in shamanism set up around making sense to that linear monkey mind of what's actually happening at the quantum level. Unfortunately, people got attached to the stories and buy into it literally rather than recognizing it as a metaphor to help focus intent. How do you steer clear of that? How do you coach your people so that they better understand exactly what you're doing?
One of my attributes is to be able to explain things without using big, huge words, but dumbing it down so that even I can understand it. And again, ultimately, if you can understand what's happening here, when I have a client come in and I tell them what I'm going to do, I will find an analogy that works with it, something that we've all experienced in life, and relate it to it, and everybody goes, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's nothing like a good old analogy, is there? Let's talk a little bit about. Here's another example: curses. Now, in all of our fairy tales and our legends and shamanically speaking, we talk about casting curses on people, and it conjures up all sorts of negative, scary thoughts. But isn't a curse simply a thought form that is negative and therefore projected onto a person, causing incompatible frequency?
Whole concept of the curse goes very much deeper than that, my dear. It gets into the whole concept of working outside of this dimension, into the dimensions of where witchcraft, spells all exist. If you did research on something called the Lesser Key of Solomon and into the Ars Notoria, all these different concepts of conjuring spirits to do a job for you and putting those into place. And some curses just get way out of hand and they keep on running forever, such as death curses, suicide curses. How many times have somebody's been in a very bad spot in their life and said, I just want to take my own life? Of course, this is a curse that's causing all these bad things to happen within your life so that you would go ahead and take your own life. So the curse, they can be passed from family member to family member. They can affect only the firstborn. I mean, it all depends on how you create that curse and all of the energy and thought behind it.
But it's still simply frequency.
It is frequency. Everything is frequency, and everything can be neutralized with frequency as long as you understand the frequency of it. What is this curse intended to do? Where is it? What is the frequency of it? And by identifying suicide curse to death curse to misfortune curse, by identifying that frequency in the form of the word, will neutralize it.
So then if we're talking about family line curses, does the frequency actually get locked up in the DNA?
It certainly can get into the chromosomes, the genome. Now there's a thing called the family soul, the umbrella, the soul umbrella that covers the whole family. And that may be something you need to clean out. It could be just one specific person where the curse started. It could be great-great-great-great-grandpa who had this curse and started it. So you might have to go back into that timeline and clear it out. Important to find out where the curse started, how the curse started, who put the curse on, and for what reason. So when you douse all of these things out, and then you make the intent for the curse to go away, the whole curse will go away. There won't be remnants of it lying around here and there within other people.
And a simple form that I've experienced and had to deal with for people is where someone thinks negative things about someone else on a consistent basis. It actually sets up a negative inundation into the other person's body. Have you experienced that?
Oh, many, many times. I've experienced that on myself. Of course, with the work I'm doing, there are people who would love to see me fail, okay? And there are just people out there with this negative type of mind who want to see other people not do well to make themselves feel better and look better. And let's say you go to work and there's one specific person everybody talks about behind their back. Well, that is creating a series of events that could unfold within this person's life that could make their vibration very low. And somebody passes you in traffic and they cut you off. Instead of saying, F you, say bless you, okay? So you're not creating that curse, you're not creating that karma that's going to come back at you either.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anytime you bend the laws of nature, it's going to snap back in your face, and cursing certainly does that. But we're so unconscious of what we do. I mean, isn't becoming conscious of what we're doing with our energy extremely important right now?
Right now, it is of the utmost importance, and to pay attention to all the little signs that are around you. A lot of people get a little thought and say, should I be doing that? Maybe I shouldn't. And they'll take the lead of that thought or that bit of intuition that comes in. Right now, with the way the energies are changing on the planet, we're heading into this whole concept of ascension, which I could go on for another 10 hours about. But we need to realize that things are happening for a reason. See, a bad thing happening right now may create a good thing down the road. So we need to watch where we're stepping, make sure that we don't step in something that's going to stick with us for the rest of our lives.
Yes, it is a time of things being dismantled and rebuilt, and you better find your sweet spot within that, huh?
Exactly. We want to be in the right vibration, which is taking us out of this whole, call it dark ages, these reptilian types of energies which full of hate and war. We look at what's happening right now in all the different countries of North Korea, the United States, Syria, Russia, and there's a big pot of hot goo starting to boil up.
one big modern mess. What do you see for the future holding for energy medicine?
I would love to see a collaboration between the medical system itself and the energy medicine, but we really need to fine-tune the energy medicine so that there is certification for it, there's validation, not just taking somebody who says, oh yes, I can run energy. We need to come up with a way to teach people properly, bring it to awareness, and be able to show people the right way to use it, because it's like a loaded gun. You can point it at a target or a person. Okay, you want to make sure that you use it the right way.
Yeah, in our right now, that's one of my pet peeves is there in the New Age community, anybody that thinks they have a little bit of intuition, hang out their shingle, untrained, half-cocked, and can do as much damage, if not more, than they're doing good. Accountability and consistency is really important, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. In the city where I am, Winnipeg, there is somebody just down the road who, when people go to this person, they end up coming to me saying, this person did something, they don't know how to fix it, so can you fix it? So I end up cleaning up other people's messes. There is proper ways to do this. It's not just saying abracadabra. There is intent that is involved that can cause something else to be woken up within a person's body. If you don't know how to find it and clear it out, then you've got a whole other mess to clean up.
Right. You're onion ringing down beyond your own substance to clear. And so that brings me to what I think is a really, really important point, is we're only as good as our personal processing.
Yes, indeed. What I like to refer it as, we're only as good as the level of our soul. So it's the same thing as going to school. You start in kindergarten, you end up in university, you end up in a practice. Same thing with doing this work. It's all steps, and the universe is watching you. And as you do better, as you spend more time with it, you're going to be able to go up to different levels and get to that level where you can see everything. You know it's all there and you can easily get at it. Instead of trying to jump up to grab something, you can easily look down on it and just neutralize those frequencies. So practice is very much important. I've been doing this going on 12 years. I'm still learning every day more secrets of the universe, more secrets as to what's causing illness, how to deal with that problem and this problem.
It's an amazing process, isn't it?
It is. Mondays. Everybody hates going to work on Mondays. I can't wait to get into the office on Monday and see what's new and exciting.
Well, Chris, I can't thank you enough for all you're bringing, and I can't thank you enough for being on the program with us.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Our guest this hour has been quantum energy practitioner Chris Caylor. His website is chriscaylor.net. This has been The Science of Magic. For in-depth exploration of leading-edge information from numerous authorities and viewpoints, join our family, email family to receive topic-driven episode collections at thescienceofmagic.net. Until next time, dear ones, may you be blessed with knowledge and comfort with love on your sacred path to wholeness.
One people, one nation, searching through